Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA to bring the Marvelous right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm the nerd with the mouth, David.
Alliance Assemble.
Assemble.
Volume 279. Yep, we're getting closer and closer to 300. It'll happen next year. I don't think we're going to be pumping out. we're pumping out one episode a week with Marvel not giving us too much, so I don't think we're going to push it to this level. But yeah, next year will be episode 300 episodes for this show. It's a very prideful moment. But we were off last week to celebrate American Thanksgiving. David and I enjoyed some time and relaxing with families. But was it everything you hoped for? And what was the best thing you had for the Thanksgiving meal?
The best thing that I had was mac and cheese, because that is my Achilles heel. I will ruin my diet over some mac and cheese, and I did ruin my diet over some mac and cheese. So between that and a lovely Manhattan that was made, those are my two. Just, I'm in my comfort zone. I can take a nap after this.
Yeah, we turkey was great. We actually had a Friendsgiving on that Sunday, so we got basically double Thanksgiving. Right when we almost got through with our leftovers at that point. Oh, there's Friendsgiving, and yeah, no, my favorite thing besides my wife's cheesecake is I don't know what she does to the stuffing, but it is my favorite thing that she makes. Like it's great spice. Rosemary, all the things that stuffing is. I can't even eat anyone else's stuffing. Like it was just like, nope, I know it's not gonna be good enough. Just not even gonna try. So, yeah, so it was good time relaxing. Got all my Christmas shopping done before Thanksgiving. That was good. And as we were talking offline, sounds like we have an affinity also picking up little things here or there for ourselves during the stuff, and including it sounds like we each got ourselves a Christmas gift that we'll put under the tree for ourselves that we will be good and not open, but then it'll be our gift saying, "Yay!"
Yep, I'm looking forward to it's already wrapped. It's underneath the tree. I told the boys, I'm like, don't worry about getting me anything. This is what you got me. Let's just call it a day, even though they're 9 and 11, so they weren't going to do much anyway. But it's going to be my gift to myself. So once they're off doing their thing after they open up gifts, Dad will have his.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm hoping for last Christmas. I was since last Thanksgiving when it came around. Bad time personally. My grandfather had passed away. A friend of mine had also passed away from college at that point. So not a great time. And then I came down with a month plus long sickness that as a kid, it was just beating me up left and right no matter what I did. It definitely wasn't COVID, but kids are opening the gifts. I had a migraine of epic migraines, and I just wanted to curl up in a ball, and that is not a memory I want to repeat. I hated that. I felt that way at Christmas. So far this year, I'm pushing along strong. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so we've got a fun topic to talk about since we said Marvel news is not there, but we want to get the network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 6 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To check it all out, subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GUAPod Network, so you know all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, and we want to thank our newest Patreon member, Kurt. Thank you, Kurt, for joining the Geek Ultimate Alliance. I hope you're enjoying all the back content. We're happy to have you on board. Definitely happy that you have recently joined. So
Yes, thank you, Kurt.
Welcome. But yeah, so some of that back content is coming from us at Marvel Alliance. We got a few past shows. We can watch this all day. The Marvel Infinity Saga rewatch, where we watch all the movies in the Infinity Saga in chronological order. Then we had the Tales from the House of X, where we gave our commentary on reviews of all our favorite X-Men movies from the Fox era of X-Men. And then our recent one, the Baxter Broadcast, the Fantastic Four retro film reviews. We reviewed all 4 quote-unquote Fantastic Four films before First Steps. So, but DC Alliance has got the DC film through the years. Joe's got his Multiverse Minutes. He's got his DC, he's got the the Disney deep dives on the 1st and the 15th, looking at all the animated movies from Disney's back catalog in chronological order. A lot of other back content out there. So if you want to join us on Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network. Again, we want to thank you all patrons like Kirk and the rest. We cannot do this without your support. But if you cannot join us on Patreon, we totally understand. Take 30 to 90 seconds to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. And last but certainly not least is our official sponsor, panelboundcomics.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at the PBC have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world. Got some great little new pre-orders there. We've got Star Wars Legends, the New Republic Omnibus Volume 3, concluding the New Republic saga, my favorite era of the Dark Horse saga of Star Wars. We've got Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 7. We've got the Messiah Trilogy Omnibus. That trilogy finally, for the first time ever in oversized format, that entire Messiah trilogy is finally getting collected. And man, I'm sorry, just look at that David Finch cover. I mean, there were two covers.
That's beautiful.
Here's the direct market where you can only get from places like Panelbound Comics, but this was my pre-order. This right here. There was not even a question. But yeah, so we got two codes you can use. Use that code Marvel GUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order, or use that code Marvel GUA SIT for 5% off when you order 4 own books again. We want to thank them for being our sponsor. And also, shameless other plug, my friend Jake and I on Brave and the Boys, we did our next episode of the solicits that we talk about a number of these books that are on pre-order that you can get from Panelbound Comics for a deeper discount. So, as always, want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, so we have our topic tonight, as the title of the show says, is the most impactful scenes in the MCU. Now, you say this, isn't it just going to end up being a bunch of favorites? Yes and no. What we mean by impactful is not just a scene that's just really cool. Because, yeah, we could go down a bunch of things, and it could be a topic for another day. Our favorite action scenes. I mean, Brent and I, a long time ago, did our favorite non-action scenes, and that was a suggestion from him. That was really cool and kind of made us think. So when I suggested this to David, since we'll see what Marvel gives us next week. There's rumors of a certain trailer teaser maybe finally dropping next week, so that would be awesome. We would like to. It's been a decent, feels like 3 or 4 weeks since we've had decent news coming out, so that would be great. But impactful in the meaning, not just for necessarily just for the movie, but for the MCU as a whole in ramifications. Not just the movie, but how we can look at it being. And a lot of these could be our favorites, but we're not going to put it necessarily in top 10 lists, but just go over different scenes, and it's the entirety of the MCU. Streaming, movies, you name it, it's all up for grabs. So, David, as I am a gracious host, I will let you make the first selection of what you consider to be one of the most impactful scenes in the MCU.
Okay, so I am going to start with the scene that popped an entire theater and an entire internet, and that is Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. That scene was something that people were like, is it going to happen? Can it happen? And when it happened, you saw, and you can look it up now, clips of theaters around the world just absolutely losing their minds.
Yeah, the funny thing when I was telling Aaron the topic for tonight, no joke, that is the exact, when I kind of explained what I meant by impactful, that is the first one that she came to. That's very funny that you made that as not only one of your choices, but your first one you wanted to talk about. So, no, I would agree. It is, we got hints of it in Ultron, and kind of the reasoning that I've kind of fallen behind as why he couldn't pick it up then was that he was still holding on to the secret that he knew Bucky had killed Tony's parents, and so he was not worthy. He was there, but once the secret had been alleviated and he'd been out there, he could finally lift it. But yeah, that was seeing that. I was like, oh, and then Thor going, I knew it.
Yeah.
And just seeing him just wail on Thanos like he'd never like he'd been training for this moment all along with Mjolnir.
Yeah, he not only did he pick it up, but he used it to perfection. And then the funny scene where they're going back and forth, and Thor's like, "No, no, no, you get the little one." Like,
I
so
get Stormbreaker.
yeah, just that moment. But man, he not only did he pick it up, but he held it with this strength and this stoic nature and just went toe to toe with it. And it looked like he had been fighting for and training for this moment forever. So that moment just, again, it's still like, I will go back, I will watch that. And when I see that hammer start to move, I'm just like, yes.
I mean, you really can't. I mean, next I'm not gonna say another thing that could be there. But yeah, that is impactful just because it epitomizes the journey that Steve has gone on to that moment to prove that not only that any like to prove that as Odin said, he who is deemed worthy shall lift the name and lift Mjolnir up, proves that that is true. It's not just Thor. It is something that is deemed someone that is worthy, and Steve had earned it at that point to be it, despite his flaws. Just because he has flaws doesn't mean necessarily worthy. It's whether you can confront those and be what people have try to idolize. So no, good choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with one of my first selections. My first selection is gonna be, as my shirt kind of gives away, the three Peters. The Peters coming down on the rooftop over the lab from
That
Spider-Man
is
No Way Home.
on my list as well. That is
I,
such a great scene.
I go back to this scene so many different times. It's still, when I was rewatching it in preparation for doing my notes and choosing this stuff, like rewatching that scene still gives me goosebumps. Not just because of, oh my God, we had Tom Holland, Garfield, and Tobey Maguire all here together on the same screen portraying their respective Spider-Man. It was that cool moment, but the dialogue between them, and I've wrote it down here. I want to say it because it shows that Andrew Garfield just needed a good quarterback to with the lines in the direction for this. Like the way Amazing Spider-Man 2 went was not the way it should have gone out, and it shows that he is truly one of the should be considered as a great, or dare I say amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But the lines goes like this, and this is what I really focused on. It's like Peter 2, Tobey Maguire said, my Uncle Ben was killed. It was my fault. And then as deemed Peter 3 with Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man, I lost Gwen. She was my MJ. I couldn't save her. I'm never going to be able to forgive myself for that. But I carried on. I tried to keep going, tried to keep being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because I know that's what she would have wanted. But at some point, I just stopped pulling my punches. I got rageful. I got bitter. I just don't want you to end up like me. And then Tobey Maguire's Peter goes, the night Ben died, I hunted down the man who I thought did it. I wanted him dead. I got what I wanted. It didn't make it better. It took me a long time to learn to get through that darkness. And then Tom Holland's Peter goes, I want to kill him. I want to tear him apart. I can just hear her voice in my head. Even as she was hurt, she was trying to say that we did the right thing. She told me with great power, and Tobey Maguire comes great responsibility. And Tom Holland goes, wait, what? How do you know that? Uncle Ben said it the day he died. Maybe she didn't die for nothing, Peter. In that scene, right there, it's not about that moment of all three Peters being on there. They're capturing who they are as Spider-Man and trying to get through to Tom Holland's Spider-Man that do not, like Andrew Garfield said, I don't want you to go down the path I've gone down. And it was jarring to hear him say something like that. Like, oh my God, like he didn't come back from Gwen's death. Like
Yeah.
unlike what Tobey Maguire said, like he's using it to motivate. He didn't get rageful, but Peter's about to go down that path, and he said like we know it hurts, but this isn't the way we want to go down. We're here to help you, and that's what I want. I'm so looking forward to see what are the possible payoffs for him having this quote unquote brotherhood moment and Brand New Day. Are they going to be references to it? Are they going to refer back? Is he going to remember what they tried to teach him in those moments? Because it may have just been a moment in time, but man, I could easily see this be a huge, not for a multiversal movie, but just on affecting on Peter's journey in, Brand New Day.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved everything about the three Peters from the moment where they show up and Tom Holland's Peter one is just looking so disheveled, the bruises on his face, and they are trying to appeal to him to keep going, but they are also imparting their own sadness. And it is a reminder that the life of a hero isn't always glamorous. They have endured unspeakable loss and still have tried to find a way to push through. And for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in particular, like after the events of Amazing Spider-Man 2, like we don't get to see what becomes of him. We don't get that full on. There was always that clamoring of will there be another, will there be another, until they announced Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So at this point we get to find out kind of, all right, what continues on with this character that we left off. Like the love of his life died, how did he handle that? We get more in depth with him, and he also gets a great redemption moment within the three Peters scene. So yeah, the three Peters together, it was such a great thing, talked about still to this day, and is highly rewatchable.
Yeah, so that's my first choice. What's yours? Next one.
Okay, my next one, I struggled because there's two scenes from this movie that really hit me. And so I'm going to go from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Originally, I was going to go with the funeral scene, but
Okay.
instead, I'm going to go with Queen Ramonda's speech.
Good on you. That was on my list. That's a good one. So yeah, go for it.
Now, she has moments in this. She has moments when she's talking to the government. But the one that hit me the most is when her daughter is missing. And Okoye says, I'm asking mother, allow me to make this right. And Quinn responds with, make it right. I do not know if my daughter is dead or alive. And one of the elders says, perhaps we're being too hasty. She raised her spear against her own husband for Wakanda. And Queen Ramonda, with full force, stands up and goes, and where is her treacherous husband now? In a place where she can visit him if she wish. Mine is with the ancestors. I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything? On your feet, General. I stood by you after Killmonger took the throne, and you and the elders in this room stood by him while I ran begging to the Jabari for protection. I warned you about taking my daughter on this mission, so today I am done. That moment, Angela Bassett in that with every conviction she has, it brought back the loss of Chadwick Boseman and the loss of T'Challa in that moment. Her fear as a mother, her might as a queen, everything was conveyed in this scene, and I'm just sitting there like, I don't want any parts of what you got. She deserved her nomination for Best Supporting Actress with this role.
Yeah, and I'm among the ones that not trying to take it away from Jamie Lee Curtis, but that scene it was in the trailers for a reason. I still remember that first trailer with that mashup of the song they chose for it. Like have I not giving everything? Like I'm the queen of the powerful nation world, and my whole family is gone. Like you said, it brings up everything. It's more than just it's beyond the movie. We all are in mourning for Chadwick Boseman. We're all in mourning for our T'Challa not being there, and we always said like this movie was going to be like one of the toughest things any director would have to do to do this, and I think it paid off huge. And this is a female led Marvel movie through and through of different things. A mother for the loss of her son, for a sister for the loss of her brother, um, and for a wife for the loss of her husband. And there are so many different things of legacy. And like I said, the first phase of this 3 phases was about trauma and about post traumatic stress and how do you deal with it and how do we move on from post Endgame. And I think that is a perfect scene to do it. Like I said, it was on my list. It encapsulates everything about that movie and about that first part of the saga of dealing with trauma and dealing with the reality of the loss of Chadwick Boseman. So yeah, absolutely great choice. Um, I'm gonna go continue down the quote unquote serious route, um, and go animation. And this is Magneto in X-Men '97 was saying, "Please do not make me let you down." I know the expected one would be, from Gambit saying the name is Gambit, remember it. But I didn't choose that because I think Magneto's speech in that particular episode of X-Men '97 is a lot more impactful and basically encapsulates not only the season but what the X-Men represent as a whole in what will become in the MCU. He said, "This is your dream. My kind splayed before you, powerless and afraid. All the X-Men have done is to use their awesome power to protect a world that hates and fears them. Behold their reward. What must we do to be good enough? Is this the high road's destination? If so, I say, as I have too many times before, never again. Bigot, ingrate, sycophant, worm. So small I could smile you with a so small I could smite you with a step. There was a time when I would smite you all for what you have done to Storm. But today I have saved you from your own, for an old friend has challenged me to remember this view of Earth, how vast it is versus how small we make it. Charles Xavier entrusted me with his dream, and it does not ask you to love or embrace my kind as your own, but merely to accept that this is a shared world with a common future, and that my kind, like yours, have the right to live in it. I am trying to be better. Please, do not make me let you down." And it just shows that Magneto. I mean, that was a big moment for Magneto to say, like, I'm going to be the leader that Charles wanted me to be, and put down my sword and defend my people in the way that Charles wanted to. But to see later, and that he saw what happened on Genosha, and was like, no, I this is a bridge too far. They crossed the line here, and I can't somehow continue what Charles wanted me to do. And we see the ramifications of it. But this is also something that is confronted without mutants in the MCU. Is just the idea of the empowered, the idea of those who are differently abled to be looked at as, like, some as heroes and others as quote unquote freaks. Um, and it also takes a look at our own society and the outside world of what we view. So I think there is something to be said that I think that is much more impactful as a whole with the messaging that Magneto does and says.
Yeah, I completely agree. As much as I love the Gambit scene, and that scene hit once I first saw it, this is the scene that I go back to the most. This is the one that I find myself quoting, even as I look at some things within our own society. I think about that. I jokingly say all the time, Cyclops was right or Magneto was right. But in this moment, I'm like definitely thinking to myself, Magneto was right. Like, we as a society, our governments, the people in charge do better. And I keep going back to that quote and the way that it hit when he said, "Don't make me let you down." I was like, ooh, that is the sting of a man who is telling you, I want to do this, but I have zero faith that you are going to allow me to be the person that Charles wants me to be.
Yeah. So that's my next one. What do you got for yours?
Okay, so my next one is one that made me feel like I am safe within the arms of the Disney Plus television,
Okay.
and that would be WandaVision, and it is the scene with her and Vision talking,
Okay.
and they're having that moment, and she's going back and she's looking at everything. This is on the episode previously on. So it's a flashback to her sitting in her room at Avengers compound, and she's talking about just how tired she is, and how it everything is just going to drown her. And Vision says he doesn't think that the pain will take over her. And she asks, "How do you know?" And he says, "Well, because it can't all be sorrow, can it? I've always been alone, so I don't feel that lack. It's all I've ever known. I've never experienced loss because I've never had a loved one to lose. But what is grief if not love persevering?" And when I saw that heartfelt moment to them, I was like, they are going to do these characters right. They are going to do this love story between them right. And I now have faith in Disney Plus and their television shows. I was enjoying WandaVision up until that point. Each episode was fun. It was kooky. It had a different feel to it, but that made me feel like, okay, this is more than just the fun. This is more than just the, oh, what are they going to do next? This is, we care about these characters and this story.
Yeah. Besides, WandaVision being the kind of mystery box and saying we joke around like hashtag Mephisto confirmed. The relationship, so we had to accept a lot very quickly with Wanda and Vision being a item together. The real we really saw the most of it with uh, Infinity War, but getting to really see them how they would be as a couple is truly just in the show, and it's not just they make the mocking of like the 50s and everything perfect, but as you go through each episode, they're confronting and growing as a couple, fighting, having major disagreements to the point of like fighting legit with each other, but coming together to protect what they believe is their family. And yes, it's an android and a witch trying being in love with each other. It's like, well, different strokes, different folks, but it represents what it means to have love in a world that you have superpowered people that can just destroy one another. So,
Yeah.
but all right, we're going to take our first ad break before we continue down naming our other scenes that we consider the most impactful in the MCU. So as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud, so give that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So, but yeah, so my next one is coming from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And the scene, and I'll leave it with the quote saying, "They will never let a black man be Captain America, and no self-respecting one would accept it." Talk about the scene. I believe it's the penultimate episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier with Isaiah Bradley, played by amazingly by Cara Lumley, and we've got Sam Wilson, and just sitting down and him telling him the story of like what came about and just understanding like what he went through as being the quote unquote first Captain America, as people like to say, oh, the black Captain America. But the idea of in this, being locked up, being put away, losing contact with his wife, the ability to have a family, and he gave for this country, and just being torn down and spit on and trying to be forgotten about and denied, and saying that, Sam being given the opportunity to be Captain America says, don't do it. It's not worth it. And even if you had an opportunity, yeah, you can't call yourself a self-respecting black man to ever pick it up because of it's not even just what the symbol of Captain America represents in the weight it carries, but it's just like you're representing a country that doesn't want you. and doesn't feel like it wants to. And me being a white man, I always say this, like, I understand, but I don't understand. I can't ever understand. I can't ever, and I don't ever try to say, oh, I could put myself in your shoes. No, I can't. It's something that I can't do. But knowing and seeing what I've seen in my own life, and seeing and reading about different things, like, I am so impressed that Marvel and Disney would allow something like that to be put in there and to confront it like that. Because again, it's not just confronting the idea of Sam picking up the shield and being Captain America, but also confronting our own society and what it means to be a black man in America, and what it means to try to go the right path despite others trying to drag you down and paint you in a picture that is not there. And it rings even further true, showing the impact further. And when we get to Brave New World, where President Ross tells Sam, he said, "You're not Steve Rogers," and the perfect response he gives, like, "You're right, I'm not."
Yeah.
And that was nothing more needed to be said, because that is a callback to this scene in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no, I love this scene. There's another line in this scene where Sam says to Isaiah, he goes, "Don't do that bitter old man thing with me," and Isaiah snips back and goes, "If you ain't bitter, you're blind. Like, if you're
Yeah.
not seeing what has happened to your people, to our people, to this society, then you're not paying attention." He's like, you think things are different, you think times are different. He points out all the inequality in the world, all the hoops that he's had to jump through, the fact that he was in jail for something that he didn't do, and he was made to be hidden, even though he was the first real Captain America, and his legacy tarnished in that way. Like, and this is because society couldn't handle it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, we look at society, and I wonder to myself, just looking at some of the comments on various videos when Captain America Brave New World came out, like, people can't handle a black Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
So he was pointing this out, and they came at it with a real sternness. And it reminded me of some of the things that my grandfather used to say to us growing up about his experiences while he was growing up in Alabama as a child and a teenager before he moved to the Midwest. And I felt that, and it resonated with me. And yeah, Carl Lumley he absolutely was amazing in that role.
Yeah. So, what you got next?
Okay, my next one is again, I'm going for the moments that popped me and the moments that just made me just go, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're doing that." And I will just say one word: Underoos. The airport fight scene,
All right.
all of them together. We get Spider-Man, we get the fight between heroes, we get the closest thing that we've gotten into, the actual Civil War comic, and every that was just so fun. But you had this incredible action, but you also had, like, the jokes between Clint and Natasha fighting and things like that. Spider-Man talked about, hey, this really old movie, and everyone just feeling old in these points. The moment between Spider-Man and Bucky and Sam, just having all those moments, like, it was an incredible set piece of action that was just like, if this is where we're going, I'm super excited. Like, seeing that they were doing a version of Civil War, like, all right, cool. But then seeing that scene as a whole, it was just like, wow, this is something else.
Yeah, I remember Brent's a big defender of Civil War, and he'll and I'm not one of the haters of Civil War, as some people glibly put it. Oh, it's just Avengers 2.5. Yeah, you could think about it like that, but I remember. I can't even remember what episode it was, and he'll be the one to say, like, he listed out, like, exactly how many different strands come from this movie, alone with the breakup of the Avengers in this way. Um, and it's the fighting. You know, you get, like you said, the introduction of Spider-Man and what that does, officially bringing Spider-Man into the MCU, but also the idea of this team and fracturing, and questioning, was it ever really together? You know, were these ever heroes that could stay together and put aside their egos off to the side? Um, I do have a scene I'll shout out. I'm not going to shout out next, but it ties into so it is part of Civil War that I consider kind of bringing up that idea. So I don't want to say too much because I'll steal my own thunder of what I want to talk about. So, but yeah, so my next one is Loki confronting He Who Remains and destroys the temporal loom and saves the multiverse, from Loki season 2. After consulting Mobius and Sylvie and bidding farewells, when he's making the time slipping and keeps on trying to have his Groundhog Day moment of trying to find a way to keep the loom repaired at that point, so much so that he ends up going back to the moment of the final episode of Loki season 1, and seeing He Remains, and then He Remains kind of make this discussion. Oh, wait a minute, you're not him. You're a future him. He says, "Bravo," and just kind of talking about like how like you could do whatever you want at this moment, but it's not going to change things. You can't do what you want to do. And Loki finds, basically he finds a way out of a no-win scenario. He has his own creative way of the Kobayashi Maru, and sacrificing his own freedom to protect that of the TVA, and walking out into the gangway, destroyed the temporal loom, sporting his new godly costume, garbed with branching timelines infused in magic, bringing back to life, taking hold of all of them. And Loki walked to the ruins of the Citadel, the end of time, and took his place on the He Who Remains former throne, now with gold torches, setting himself up as the king, the god of stories. Is one of the most epic moments in MCU history. Grandiose scale of Loki saving the entire universe, finally finding his glorious purpose. Says, "I know what kind of God I need to be for you, for all of us." Calling back to the last thing he said to his father at the end of Thor, a journey of a character that, who would have predicted Loki would have been one of the longest serving characters throughout this one, that went from pure villain to now antagonist and pretty much borderline hero, holding the multiverse in his hands. That is the definition of impactful, that will continue going bad, and we will see Loki in Doomsday and Secret Wars to what his purpose is of the future of the multiverse in the MCU.
Yeah, I absolutely love that scene. Everything is unraveling around him and Sylvie at that point.
Literally.
Mobius has been unraveled. Everyone else, like, you see it, and then he stops and he tells Sylvie like how he has to do this, and he's burdened with glorious purpose. And the scene of him walking, and as his suit is getting burned away by the energy of time, and he starts to reveal his clothing underneath, and then the horns come out and he takes control, and the music is playing, and he's becoming the god of stories, and it's just all these moments, and you're just like, this redemption arc that has been building since we first saw Loki, to when he was a disheveled prisoner who was sad, about his mother dying, to the guy who was trying to get out of control when Thor finds him, same time he finds the Hulk. Like, we've had all these moments of Loki that have built to this point of just him slowly becoming a hero, and now we get him becoming the god of stories, taking his seat at the throne again, being burdened with glorious purpose, and it is amazing.
Yeah, and especially like, imagine Loki being selfless. I mean, selfless. Loki being selfless. You know?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? But all right, what you got next?
Okay. So, next one is something that was 24 years in a making, and that is the Like a Prayer Deadpool versus the Deadpool course scene. Seeing Hugh Jackman step out in the costume with the cowl on and everything else, that was my we're not dead yet. We've been here for years. MCU's
MCU's
dead.
dead. Pack
They-
it
They're
in.
they're replaying old things or going back to old tropes. And you know what? They went back to an old trope and they're going to keep going back to it till he's 90. But yeah, this was great.
Yeah, it's. I mean, just who we never. I mean, now he's doing it till 90.
Yeah.
You know.
So having Madonna's Like a Prayer in the background, having the moment between them, Deadpool showing his jealousy for him putting the cowl on, everything about that. Peter being a linchpin of it afterwards. Just yeah, that whole moment. It was just yeah. I love it. I rewatch it constantly just that scene alone because it's just fun and it is Deadpool at its most Deadpool. We got return to form of Hugh Jackman, and we have somewhere to go with the Fox and X-Men universe going out of this. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
my
like
next
it.
one.
No, I mean, enough said. There's this. It's one I love that basically what appears to be a one shot, which you know is not necessarily a one shot, but man, just seeing him put on those wingtips and maximum effort and yeah, the suit amazing. I remember when we saw the first look at the suit. Man, just channeling everything about the Jim Lee era of Wolverine with the yellow and the gold and blue. So it's just great.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back to Civil War now, and my scene that I consider to be even more impactful was, he is when Steve goes, "He's my friend," and Tony replies, "So was I." and just the fight that ensues after. I mean, right there, the two people who, yes, were fighting in the sense of, you know, when they're saying like, "Who are you? Take that suit off. Who are you? A suit of armor. Like, what do you got?" He's a billionaire playboy. Are you just a billionaire playboy? He says, "Ah, no, I'm just a billionaire philanthropist." Like all the things. But he and Steve had come to an understanding of friendship, and the fact that he hid this from him, that Bucky had killed. Yes, he wasn't really Bucky. He was the Winter Soldier, had killed his parents, and that he hid this from him and is defending him. And he's just like, "Why didn't you just tell me? Why did you hide this from me? Why, now you're defending him and just saying, like, just excusing what he did?" And it represents more in the sense of the deep-seated stuff that is going on, not just between Tony and Steve, but just what's going on amongst the heroes themselves, especially, even at the ending where Steve leaves that message that, if you need me, just call me. But when we come to Endgame, when he comes back, he literally just goes in front of Steve and throws exactly what he said in his face in Ultron, saying, what's going to happen when we do this? He said, "We'll lose." And he said, "We'll do that together." And he said, "What did you tell me? We do this together. Well, we lost and we weren't there." And he puts that blame on Steve, saying, "You broke us up. You chose your friend, who was a murderer, hid things from us, and broke us up." And it seems the whole thing in the sense of the Accords and Tony thinking that, when he doesn't see a pathway for the Avengers to continue without being the government, and Steve saying no. I mean, they are both right and they are both wrong in Civil War. Like, I joke around with people, say, "Oh yeah, I'm Team Tony," but Tony's got a point and Steve's got a point. And again, they are both right and they are both wrong.
Yeah. I agree that scene them together and the look in Robert Downey Jr.'s eyes, like as he's talking about, like he killed my mom. Like
Yeah.
you could see the pain in his eyes at that moment. That was a friendship breaking down in real time, and Steve had a choice, and he made his choice. And there's so many things that are a fallout or, branch from this choice. But yeah, that scene right there, where he's like, "You knew, you knew."
Yeah, and shout out to my friend Chuck. Just want to give a shout out. But yeah, what you got next?
All right, my next one is I'm going to go with the snap, because that
Okay.
was a moment that I remember. The whole Thanos demand your silence, the social media buzz behind that, that don't tell people what's going to happen, things like that. When that, me originally watching that in theaters and seeing Peter go, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good," watching uh Black Panther fade away, watching Bucky, who was the first one to just, drop his gun and fade away, and having all these moments, and "you should have gone for the head," like everything within that snap, I was just
And
like,
like he goes, no.
yeah, it's like, oh, they are doing this, and it created in my mind the most anticipated sequel as a result. Like, this happened, and then everyone was like, "Oh, we're ending there. I
Yeah.
need I need to know what's next. Like, how am I supposed to wait for what's next?" And they're like, "Yeah, what's next is Ant-Man 2, but after that."
Well, to your point, and that was on my list, the snap, the blip, however you want to call it. Um, just hearing, like, I've read the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, I knew this was coming. I just didn't know how they were going to do it, and it didn't ruin the movie. I just said, this is where we have to go. He's trying to assemble the gauntlet. They're not going to change it. So how is it going to be portrayed? And just being in my theater that night and the deafening shock, like audibly shock, gasps of what's going on. Oh, I'm in an audience mostly for the general audience. Like you all think they're done. You all think they ain't coming back. They did it. Um, and good on them. Like it's especially when they're shocked. Say, oh my god, we just introduced Spider-Man. We just introduced Black Panther, and they're gone. Like you can still surprise an audience to this day, and
Yeah.
that was just impressive. And yeah, that I mean, that is definitely a very obviously impactful moment in the MCU because how many times since then have we revisited the blip? Black Widow, we revisited it. You know,
Yeah.
we revisit it
We revisited
in
in Captain Marvel. That
yep,
was a whole thing with
and
Maria.
Hawkeye when
Yep.
we and that's why I meant to say instead of Black Widow, I meant to say Hawkeye. We revisit it in Hawkeye in different ways.
Yeah.
But it yeah.
So
So yeah,
it,
good
it
choice.
it was a big moment that, again, it had everyone talking for the longest time, and I remember people just going around like, "You got to go see it. Just wait till you get to the ending. Just wait till you get to the ending." But again, Thanos demands your silence was
Yeah,
the social media scrum that we had out there, so you couldn't talk about it. You just had to tell people, "Go see it and wait till the ending."
yeah. So um, my next one will be walking in the ancestral plane with Black Panther. Not the first time, the second time. The second time you get T'Challa when he's taking the heart shaped herb to be revitalized and everything like that. The confrontation he has with T'Chaka and saying like, "Why did you hide this from us? What you did to your brother? You left his child behind. We could have stopped Killmonger from coming to this point. Like he may still, but there was a chance. You abandoned that chance and you created the villain of this story. Well, I don't consider and Killmonger a villain. He's an antagonist because he brings out the points. Like even T'Challa tells T'Chaka, like T'Chaka that we hide in Wakanda. We reserve all this stuff to not allow it. And say, oh, we can't let our technology and stuff. They'll use it against us, things like that. So, but you never gave them a chance. Like you left our people out there to die, and other people who look like us out there to fight amongst themselves and destroy each other. And that there shows that not only the growth of T'Challa, but the influence. Even if he knows the means of Killmonger are wrong, the way he wanted to do it, his the thing he is upset about is still right and leads to the impact that it comes to of Wakanda opening up its borders to share in its technology, share in all these different things. So I mean that's the impact I'm showing even with that, but also it leads to consequences to that as we see in Wakanda Forever and even in Ironheart.
Yeah. Um, that's scene, and that's the moment that if you didn't already have some part of you that kind of was like, Killmonger has a point. This was the turning point of like,
You'd say Thanos is right, Killmonger was right.
yeah, it's like, you know what? They're all right. Like you guys were the leading nation. You have the power to heal, to do great things, and you kept it all for yourself. This was wrong. And having T'Challa say this to T'Chaka and like, the way that you went about things was wrong, and that is the reason that we are in the situation we're in now because of the choices that you made. And it was a strong moment between two powerful and prideful men. And yeah, that I agree with you. That is an amazing scene from that movie.
Yep. So, but yeah, so we've you want to go through just a couple of quick hits as we can keep talking about this night.
Yeah, I will give you three quick hits that
Yeah.
are still on my list, and that is Rocket's backstory, because
Okay.
I've never felt for a rodent the more than I did than seeing
Yep.
Rocket's backstory.
I have Rocket losing Lila as one of my scenes at that point because it shows why Rocket is the way he is, and just him screaming out when Lila is killed. Like that right
Yeah.
there says, okay, that's why he is the way he is.
I have Ego admitting to killing Peter's mom,
Yep.
because
Okay.
that moment, the look in his eyes, the way that he shifted, this was the fun loving, free flowing, I'm a beat you in a dance off guy, just going full on. I need to be the hero. I need to step up into the man that I'm supposed to be in this moment. And then,
Yeah, yeah. But you killed my mom. It's like everything like blown up at that point.
yeah, he's like, what?
She was just a brood mare. Come on.
It's like, I really hated putting that tumor in her head. And he was like, what?
What? Yeah, I know. I even when I heard that, I was like, oh, we're just being brutally honest now. Okay, all right. Let's see how far we take this.
Yeah. And then my last one is going to be, I'm not going to go with the easy one. I'm going to go a little bit deeper. And that's going to be the Thunderbolts save Bob. Because for somebody,
Did not, out of all the things you were gonna say, I would not have expected that.
and this is why I say that one. As someone who has had his own mental health struggles, this movie hits me in a different way. This movie has hit other people I know who have mental health struggles. And the fact that the reality is that was the overarching villain. And they came together to literally beat the depression out of this man. And, but it was a conquering moment that just, that was the shining spot of that movie for me.
Yeah. All right. Some of my other ones, like one of the obvious ones, I think we both agree on, but we're not going to spend too much time. Like Avengers Assemble, the first assembly of the Avengers. At that point, that's
That's the one that I said is easy.
yeah, that's the easy one. I tried to stay away from easy ones that were like Dur. Of course, you choose that one. I wanted to show like some a little more growth in that. So you're saying, why didn't you say that? That's obvious. That's low hanging fruit. Well, I'm just putting it out there, saying we didn't forget about that. Another obvious one, the blip, the 5 years later. That's the particularly after the opening minutes of Avengers Endgame conjure the feeling of aimless panic. The Avengers regroup and chase down Thanos on a planet. They're already acting out of the sense of defeat. All they can do, and all they want to do is just kill Thanos. But even when they accomplish anything, nothing is satisfying. The people are still gone. The only way forward is to realize that they need to keep moving on. In a quiet and sullen long stretch of time immediately following Thanos' death is activating a time machine and doing that at that point. So that's another low hanging fruit. So that's why I didn't necessarily call it out, but it was still on my list. Here's one that I think is more powerful than Avengers Assemble. In the first Avengers movie, there was an idea. Why should mankind form a team like the Avengers in the first place? In what I consider a very stirring and solemn speech by Samuel L. Jackson, as head of S.H.I.E.L.D., he said, boils down to the purpose of the Avengers at its core when they're all around the table after Coulson's death, saying, at its core, to fight the battles humanity can't fight themselves. Well, Fury admits that the idea is old-fashioned, and it's true. Marvel's Avengers comics have been in circulation for over 50 years. This movie being an escapist blockbuster changed popcorn movies forever, but it also brought up what the idea is, and they use that speech in with other people saying it in the first trailer for Infinity War. There was an idea to take an amazing that was right there. Like, it epitomizes exactly why the Avengers are so important to what this is, and why I'll say it over again. I know I'm beating a dead horse. Has been the biggest mistake of this current phase of not having one Avengers movie until now. You know?
Yeah.
So let me see. Going through the rest of my list, seeing if there was anything else I missed. Another one, Birth of Captain America, Super Soldier. That's low hanging fruit. Oh, I'll end like this. It's a twofer. It's two movies, but it shows the character who I think, and I've said every so often I've said this, that has out of the beginning of the MCU through Endgame, this character has had the biggest growth of any character. And that would be Tony Stark. When he says he begins and ends his first movie with I am Iron Man, and ends his time by saying I am Iron Man.
Literally top of my list.
The genius of Tony Stark's last line, both in the first movie and in Endgame, it's how it's so truly authentic to the character. Being a grade A narcissist that relishes attention, there is simply nothing else and nothing better than Stark could have said at the end of Iron Man, even when it's his best interest to stay quiet. Years later, when face to face with Thanos, another equally vain individual, distracted by his momentary seizure of power, Tony Stark not only quotes himself, again, narcissist, but uses it to give Thanos one last punch in the guy before snapping him away. Thanos may claim to be inevitability in a cold, cruel universe, but Tony Stark is Iron Man, and he'll find a way to outsmart the inevitable. So, I see Amari in the chat. Welcome, Amari. Saying, let me pull that up. All Fury's speech needed was one MFer at the chair got done. Well, maybe, but yeah, that's I figured that would be a good one to kind of end on. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this kind of idea. It was cool. You know, we didn't have too much overlap. We had some interesting picks between the both of them. A few ones on there, but I'd have to say we did really do a good job avoiding some low-hanging fruit at that point, and I think we chose some good ones. So definitely, hopefully, if you all want to write in with some of your impactful moments that we didn't choose, or you have umbrage with some of our choices, go for it. I mean, again, this is not all-inclusive list. David and I could probably go on for another couple of hours and delving into a whole bunch, but we will stop there, and we will take our next ad break for the show. So listeners, as always, we don't get to choose the ad to come on. They could be a bit loud. Give that 3 count before they come on. As you know, these help sponsor and keep the lights on at the Geek Ultimate line. So give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We will be right back. And we are back. So, all right, as we said, news is light. News is non-existent. There is rumors of a Doomsday trailer possibly coming next week. David and I are very hopeful. because it would be nice to be kind of closing out the year for Marvel with that trailer. Also, the Distinguished Competition is supposedly also releasing their Supergirl trailer, so rumor has it that they will put that out first, because Marvel will probably do the end of the week. So my guess is Thursday they'll put it out as we're just getting a pins in it, saying, "Oh my God, will they just do something? Just put it out Wednesday. Just please, just put it out Wednesday, so that we can put a show together and not necessarily wonder what the heck we're gonna do. Come on, Marvel, throw us a bone here. We're trying here. We're
Yeah.
trying.
Just it's one day earlier. Just one day.
Yeah,
Give
just
us that day.
give us Wednesday to prep for that, please, please, please." Anyways, outside of it, so questions, feedback. I put up the Spidey signal as usual. David, why don't you take the questions as I pull up Fact or Fictions from a couple of weeks ago?
All right. First question from Amari. What is your most rewatched MCU film? He says, while Winter Soldier is his overall favorite, the one he's watched the most is probably Iron Man. It's a great film that still holds up, and if you remove all future movies, it equally works as a great standalone.
I will, Winter Soldier. Yes, I'm like you. It is one of my overall favorites. I've definitely watched that many times because I'm a sucker for a good spy espionage movie. I think that has so many great tropes with it. I love Cap's speech when he comes back and trying to rally everyone and reveal the truth behind that shield has been infiltrated by Hydra all these years. Um, I love the dynamics and the issues in the sense of, Fury trying to save what's left of Shield, and Steve's just saying no, it's gotta all come down, and the idea of where you have the idea of safety versus security and freedom, the debates with that. But I would say probably next one I have watched more often than not, a lot, is No Way Home. It is a lot of personal things in my life that that movie came out at a very good time, and just seeing the stuff. But also, it was a turning point for this show because it put Marvel Alliance in a league of other shows that we just blown away by the response, and it gained us a lot of different fanfare and a lot of different viewers and listeners to take our show seriously. And we will never that movie will always have a special impact because of that. And it came out during the holiday season. I remember Travis, Brent, and I texting saying, "Oh my God, are you seeing these numbers for the episode?" And we just couldn't believe it. So, but yeah, so those two.
Yeah, for me, it's either Avengers Endgame, which is my comfort Marvel movie. It's if I don't know what I want to watch and I just want something on in the background, I put on Endgame. Um, it is just good. Now, if I'm actually going to sit and watch a movie, then it is either No Way Home or Black Panther. Uh,
Okay.
no Way Home, just I mean, it's just great, and I can tune in at any moment in that. I love, just absolutely love the moment with him and Norman Osborn when he is talking about his darker half. Like that whole scene is great. But Black Panther also, it holds a special place in my heart. It holds a special place in my community, and I can rewatch it over and over again.
Yep. On the game, throwing a question at us, saying, "Hey guys, first time in 14 years that an MCU movie will end the year not in worldwide top 10 when Thor was 15th in 2011. Any thoughts on this?" Um, it just speaks to a lot of things that David and I and others have said, that it's not about, you know, the MCU is at a turning point where people are still going to movies, but it's not just like the MCU is not like you have to see this Marvel movie. Like
Yeah.
the demand, especially, and I blame streaming for that. Not in a bad thing. It's just the game was changed. You didn't have that, and they made it. And every movie became was felt like an event, but they put out too much too fast, and the way the multiverse saga has been bumbled and fumbled. And I think yes, Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to are going to have a lot riding on it. I think it's going to do very well, but I think it's just a referendum on what we've been saying, and I think that's probably a reason. Even though we joke about like why Marvel's not giving us much news about what's next, is because this is their response to it. We're gonna close out this saga. We're going to land the plane as best we can, and take the lessons we learned and do better with it. And it's unfortunate, but this was an inevitability based on what we were reading on the tea leaves. So
Yeah. Over time, the MCU grew so big that it's hard for the general audience to keep up with every bit of it. And as it continued to grow, your general audience kind of got to a point where they're like, "Look, I'm not going to keep up with everything. There's some things that I'm just not going to watch, or I'll catch it here and there." And with the advent of streaming and the fact that now, let's be realistic, most big movies within 3 to 4 months of them being in theaters, they're available digital. It's not you have to wait a whole year in order to see this again. So there's not that I need to see it right here, right now, because if you don't see it week one, guess what? In a couple of months, it's going to be available to purchase, and then a month after that, it's going to be available to stream. So that does take a hit on the numbers. Also, the MCU as a whole, they have slowed down on their output, which right now is a good thing. Hey, regroup, focus on putting out some good quality content. I'm excited for Doomsday and Secret Wars. If they are just focusing on that and making that the best it can possibly be, then I don't need 17 projects this year.
yeah. So thank you for that question. We've got a question I see from our friend and former co-host Brent.
Yes, so Brent is asking, there is a new game out. It is called Marvel Cosmic Invasion, and he wants to know if we played it, and if so, what are our thoughts?
Um, I am very excited about it. I'm a sucker for a good beat 'em up and good pixel art game because it reminds me of my days in the arcades and things like that. I I've seen a lot of different reviews for it. I'm literally in the middle of listening to an interview with the director of the game from podcast I listen to, the podcast Beyond from IGN, where they're interviewing that. It's fascinating just hearing kind of how the game came about. I have not personally played it. It is on my wish list for Steam. I'm probably hoping for to see if it's going to be discounted as we get towards deep into the Christmas and post-Christmas sales, because I know Steam does a big sale at the end of the year that usually has some deep discounts. But I am going to pick it up. I know physically it's not going to be put in physical until March, which is fine. I don't mind paying for it and downloading. So probably sometime this holiday I'm going to be pulling the trigger on it. But I'm very excited about it because I was a huge. I still rock out and love the Capcom Fighting Collection that they put out this. I think it was this year, right, or was it last year?
Yep, it was beginning of this year.
Okay, so yeah, because that when I heard that Punisher game, that was, oh my god, just having that Punisher game now in my collection. That I love that. I love the Cap. So it brought back a lot of memories for it, and so I've heard nothing but very positive things. Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm not expecting huge things, but man, Beta Ray Bill, yes, the sooner I unlock that character, that's my go-to. Beta Ray Bill, like right behind me in my funk. I'm a Beta Ray Bill person. Come on.
So I have played it, and good news, Beta Ray Bill is available from the start, as well
Yeah.
as Brent. You will get Nova available from the start. I played earlier with a tandem team of, because you can have up to 4 players. You pick 2 characters for your team for the side scroll and beat them up. So I did a level run through with Wolverine and Spider-Man, and then I did a level run through with Captain America and Black Panther, and I was just having an absolute blast going back to the arcade days. Instead of using the joystick, I used the D-pad to just have that old school feeling. So yeah, it took me back to the fun of the arcades, the fun of the side scrolling. I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles released, a game a
Yep.
little while
Shredder's
back, and it was
Revenge.
this It was the same, and I absolutely loved it. So I was going to pick this up. If any of our listeners are a subscriber to Game Pass through Microsoft, it is available through Game Pass at no
Oh,
additional
it is?
cost. Yes, it is.
Really?
So if
Oh,
you
I know what
if
I
you have Game
oh,
Pass, it is a
okay.
part of Game Pass. That is how I
I didn't
downloaded it.
I did not
So
know that. Okay, so I might be changing some of my weekend plans and maybe playing it this weekend. Okay.
yep. So
I did not know that.
I will have to look and see if you need the ultimate or not, but I do know Game Pass for PC it's on, and I believe just the regular Game Pass you can get it as well. But yeah, that's how I ended up downloading it and playing it, and my Xbox may be taking a trek to work sometime soon so that Brent can hop on and play for a while
Okay,
as
I
well.
may be taking a. I've been playing Outer Worlds 2 on Game Pass through on my Steam Deck, so I probably needed to put a pause on that this weekend, and maybe rocking out some Cosmic Invasion to do that. So maybe I might not be spending any money on it. I may be just doing it like that. But yeah, no, I'm excited about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
So
maybe something that once we get to play, maybe we'll give our personal, a little more detailed thoughts on it. So in a future episode. So. All right. Any more questions, or is that it?
that's it for questions.
All right. Um, so Factor Fictions from a couple weeks ago, David, these were yours. So number one, we will get a live action mass version of Miles Morales in Spider-Man as Spider-Man in Avengers: Secret Wars. 25% say fact, 75% say nope. Sorry, not happening yet. Number two, a variant of a previous Sony Spider Man villain will appear in Avengers Secret Wars. 71% said fact, 29% said fiction. And number three, Yahya Abdul Mateen II will wear a version of the W costume in Wonder Man. 89% said fact, 11% said fiction. I think some people are just trolling on that one. All right, so this week it was mine. So let me pull this up. I almost forgot it was my week at that point till last night, saying, "Oh," because I was so focused on the coming up with the 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 scenes at that point. Say, "Oh, I got to come up with Factor Fictions." So, all right, Factor Fiction number one: in Avengers: Secret Wars, there will be a new portal scene at the end of the movie.
I will say fact on. So hold on, let me clarify.
Yep.
We're just saying portals, not like the big. We're bringing in. You wanted more, like not that, but just a scene involving portals.
Not necessarily just portals, a portals s scene in the sense of like people will say, oh yeah, that's their portals moment, not like literally they're portaling people in, but just a portals s kind of moment, like the call together of the
Then
team.
yes, I will definitely agree with that. That's 100% happening.
Yeah, I'm there too. I think it's one of those things. Oh, they're just copying. It's like yeah, but we all want it. Don't. It's
Yeah,
gonna happen. They're building towards that anyways. Um, All right, so in anticipation, my next two are involving the anticipation of the Avengers Doomsday trailer, hopefully next week. So I decided, let me just just think about some things. All right, the fact or fiction number two: the first trailer for Avengers Doomsday will show at least two non-MCU legacy characters.
I'm gonna go fact on that. I think they're gonna sell right out the gate that this is a big event, bringing back some old school people. So I'm gonna say fact on that.
Yeah, I mean they've already put out the chairs that we know legacy characters are in it. Do I know which ones are going to be? No, but I figure this is not one that they are going to wait. They'll do a bigger kind of talk about a bigger show for the actual full trailer, but I think that they're going to want to just give something. They want to, again, knowing that a Supergirl trailer is going to release, they want to get back the talk. They want to get back the news cycle. They've got to do something like that to kind of really like put it in. So I'm a fact as well.
Yep.
All right, last one. Fact or fiction number three: the first trailer for Avengers Doomsday. In the first trailer for Avengers Doomsday, someone will refer to Doctor Doom as Tony when they see him. Will either be, I'm not saying when they see him, they'll either hear his voice, they'll either see his face or something, but they're gonna be like, Tony. And my hope was that this is, I didn't add this because I didn't want to get too specific, but like my hope is that someone's gonna say Tony. It's like, who's Tony? It's like, or like he's saying, who, like, not. I'm not Tony. I'm Doctor Doom. Like just like
No
you gotta
Tony,
keep
only Doom.
only yeah only yeah. There's no Tony. Only exactly. That's what I was thinking of in that moment. That Ghostbusters. Oh, no, there is no Tony. Only Doom. But something along those lines. Like I want that kind of moment to be seen in the sense like where they think it's Tony, and he's gonna be like, "The hell you say? Who's
I,
Tony?"
I definitely I want it. So yes, 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 please, yes. I want that so bad.
Yeah,
And I
I
don't
want it.
think it
No,
will confuse the general audience because I mean, we've already had so many big
I think it'd be
announcements.
a call out, a good meta moment for the audience to
Yeah.
do it too, because those who aren't connected, who don't live online like we do, in the sense of cover this stuff for our side hustle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm a fact there. All in the game has kind of a follow up for what he asked. Is it just to be fair? Have to point out that Superman at 616.7 million could end up also outside the worldwide top 10, depending on how well Avatar 3 does. Well, Avatar 3 is gonna clean up. We know this.
Yeah.
Wicked 2 end up doing well. Right now, Wicked 2 is only at 400 million, so Superman's still doing well, and I think that when it comes down to it, it's hard. It's really weird to say 400 million is disappointing, but when you have the first one being that it was, meaning no superhero movie in the top 10, yeah, it could be. But also, I get an early kind of call out because one of my, uh, you know, factor fiction, my predictions for the year was that combined three movies, the Marvel movies would get $1 billion. Not one single Marvel would get, but a combined. I gained that, and I got a big boost than I ever thought from Brave New World. Got much higher than I thought, and that put me in the surefire that was going to be happening.
Yeah.
So, but all right, I will post those Sunday afternoon, so let your voices be heard with that. And let us go into close out the show with Comic Book Club. Looking at issue 6 of Spider-Man Life Story. We are in the 20
The 2010s.
2010. There we go. 2010. I couldn't remember my Marvel Unlimited was taking a little bit. So yeah, with the costume kind of like in off and in the waters. Looks like Spider-Man. It's almost like
Yeah.
Spider-Man No More. So yeah, so we get a lot of interesting, especially with the opening, that we get some confirmations of some things that we weren't sure if Benji died, but we do get in the little narrative in the beginning that Benji was nearly killed. So
Yeah.
so thankfully that did not happen. So yeah, we open Peter kind of talking about the dream he has with the robber who eventually would kill his Uncle Ben, letting it go by and reliving it. And we're in 2019, and Peter is going up to space with Miles Morales, and we get an introduction to there, and we see his daughter. Claire is now a Spider Woman in the kind of Spider Woman costume from like the Ultimate Universe, which is cool. And Benji there, kind of looking like he's not necessarily the superhero, but you see the injury that he sustained from Moreland, but looks to be taking on the genes of his father with the smarts for both of them. And that he says Claire is even a better superhero, though it's shaped by the superhero war. So it got even more It got even more problematic after that issue. So it's kind of cool seeing in this moment we got a lot going on in just these the second page.
Yeah. It's good to see Benji still alive, walking with the cane, things like that. It was good to see, the introduction of Miles, this space suit that Peter's wearing. We got the Space Spider-Man suit and them taking a Doom plane up to space at this point. And so, yeah, and them talking about how Doom is in control of everything. So,
Yeah,
he's
how interesting, because we're just wrapping up in the Marvel Universe, one world under Doom.
Yeah. So Doom is allowing the transfer runs to the moon colonies. So I like how they say we're basically pulling a Return of the Jedi and pretending.
I know, yeah. Um, but I'll tell you, like I said, I've read this series a number of times, and it's always interesting. Oh, I forgot about this. The twist with Miles. I remember hearing the word that even Peter picked up on when he calls him Parker, and I'm like, that's not Miles. Are we? And I was like, are we doing what I think we're doing right here? Are we doing that callback right now? And I was like, oh, Chip Zdarsky. That's. I mean, what I said when we went through Fantastic Four Life Story is what wasn't present as well were the key moments from Spider-Man's history of events. Chip Zdarsky weaved so many different things in there and weaved them in so well. I did not feel that was done effectively at all in Fantastic Four Life Story. And
Yeah.
just little things. It didn't have to be like an exact thing. Like certain things like Secret Wars, it was Secret Wars. There's nothing you could do, but it needed to be included. But like little things like this, like Otto taking over the mind and taking over the controlling of a character. In this case, he couldn't use Peter; he got Miles. And I said, "What a cool twist that was!"
Yeah. Yeah. So when when I first read it and they were alluding to the twist, I was like, oh, we're pulling that in. We're subverting it though, switching to Miles. I'm like, this is cool. So
And especially when we see like Craven coming in as Venom, because I forgot about. Oh yeah, I forgot about the symbiote costume went to him, so that was neat. But like how um Peter takes him down with the Sonic Gauntlet at that point and just like
yeah,
obliterates it. Oh damn, Peter just like wiped him out. But they said when Miles goes, just a skeleton, it's like, oh, all my enemies are dead. Isn't that right, Otto? But like the fact that
yeah,
he said, oh yeah, he was just, it was always a show. Like he was just keeping him, like he was basically brain dead at that point in the symbiote. It's like, oh man, that's a cool way of doing it. But yeah, and then he goes Parker, and I was like, oh my god, that was such a cool twist. So quick,
yeah.
so and the payoff still worked.
Yeah, I do like when they're fighting and Peter says two men with spider sense should make it impossible to land a punch. But then they show that Otto's already kind of gotten control of some of Miles's powers. He's able to turn invisible, things like that. And Peter says, my reflexes aren't what they used to be. So that they're having a back and forth. And yeah, this was again a cool moment. I like the callback to the whole Otto taking over Spider-Man's body. We have the superior Spider-Man moment, and them just going at it on the space station.
Yep, and then going into their minds and having a fight in their minds. I mean, that was kind of a very interesting, especially with all the different eras of Spider-Man's costumes from this
Yep.
series, which was nice. Fighting all the different villains, and basically Peter bringing his memories of Mace, and then kind of taking down Otto in that way. And I love it what she says to him, saying, what you want to do is save Ben, but you can't. You can't save everyone else. You realized years ago that will never change, so you embraced it. So go, Peter, my sweet boy, save everyone. And the he's able to. The station's getting ready to explode. The mechanism still has time to go before it finally charges up, but the escape pod only has room for one, and he's going to save Miles in it, but Otto is still technically in there. And sorry, Doc, can't let you sacrifice a life that's not your own. He's just like, do better. And Peter gets ready to hold on, trying to keep himself from going out there, and the symbiote ends up saving him, so that way the whole thing station could explode. I definitely didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, that it was cool, and then to have the symbiote stretched out with the Spider-Man logo on there.
Yeah. But it was nice seeing, Peter and his, memories of, thinking of MJ and in the height of who they were, and is it "You're My Heart," Mary Jane Watson, "You're My Jackpot," it explodes, and that the resistance wins, and you see Miles confronting Otto, and Miles saying like, I wanted just to kill Yotto, just to reach down and pull the plugs of everything, but Peter wouldn't want to have done that, and neither will I. You'll just lie here and think about the strength that the strength that takes. Um, and so Miles getting beating himself up, saying, "I can't believe I don't know how long this was like." We really don't get a timeline of how long Otto had taken control of Miles,
Yeah.
but long enough that it's been a bit. So, but he feels that he doesn't know how he can put on his costume because that really didn't feel like him. It was Otto's, and I like how Mary Jane comes up and says, "Well, you do need to put it on, but you don't have to put on yours. Here's Peter's. Feel free to make it your own." Um, but it was an interesting choice because that's where we leave it, and with you know the overture of Peter at the beginning saying, I have the dream over and over again, but this time it's different. It's a good dream because he in his new dream he does stop the burglar, or at least you lead you to believe. But we also don't see Miles put on the costume, which is always an interesting choice because I could see people saying, "Oh my God, why couldn't we see that one moment of him like putting on it in a different way?" I was like,
Yeah.
but we don't need that. I don't think we
No.
need that for this story because again, like we do have an ongoing series of Miles. We do have certain things, but I mean, I know people want some sort of conclusion to that. But I was okay with it like that, and it was a true life story. And even I still get teared up at the end of it because of how well Chip Zdarsky has weaved the story.
Yeah, and this is Peter's life story, so having the open-endedness of Miles is okay to me. We don't need to see where Miles takes the legacy from here. We know from various other stories that Miles holds the legacy very well, so we don't need it in this one. This was about Peter through the ages. We got that. So ending it with Peter's dream and Peter having that moment at the end of the dream, I felt like was a much better ending to this story.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So concluding the main series, but they did produce an annual. So, and it is a heck of an annual. It is an annual that of a focus of a character that was only brought up in I think issue one and or issue one or two, and that was I think it was only issue two, and moved on after that. So we will conclude Spider-Man life story with looking at and breaking down Spider-Man life story annual number one on our next episode. So. But all right, so volume 279 in the books. Again, we hope you enjoyed kind of our impactful scenes of the MCU. We had a great time breaking that down and going down memory lane about that. And but yeah, so David, tell people how they can follow you.
You can follow me on all socials at The Phantom. You can follow me here on the Geekverse Network as part of our wrestling show, The Gimmick. We have a show coming up weekend after this. So, John Cena's last match is on the 13th. So, we will be going live the next day to talk about that and to talk about, where we think the state of wrestling is and where it's at going forward. So, yeah, you can catch me there along with Mr. Travis Snells and S Bubs, and again, all socials at the Phantom.
That's it. So yeah, you can check me out on all the socials at Chris Balga. Again, check out the Brave and the Boys YouTube channel for our recent episode of Jake and me breaking down the February 2026 solicits of the new catalog of all the different books that you can order on pre-order. And as always, we want to thank our official sponsor, panelboundcomics.com. Use that code MarvelGU at checkout to get $2 off every single order, or 5% off with the code MGUASIT when you order 4 or more books together. You can follow the show at Marvel A Podcast on Twitter. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to tweet or email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions. Continue to rate and review Marvel Alliance on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, David, post-credits discussion, what you got for us tonight?
All right, post credits discussion. Since we were talking about our most impactful MCU scenes, what is your favorite non MCU scene that has left an impact or just become your favorite quotable?
Took me a minute because I got into the notes late, and so I had to think about this quickly on the fly. And so, I can't go wrong with just going down the X Men route. And so I went uh, to X2 X Men United, and the quote in the scene is simple, but it's a it epitomizes not only this character and their opinions, but also what it is as a whole for the franchise. You're a god amongst insects. Never let anyone tell you different. And this is when Magneto joins forces with Charles Xavier. He's convinced Pyro to join his group after learning that he could control fire but not create it. And Eric says these words to him. Having someone who could understand where he came from and admired his powers, Pyro realized that Magneto wasn't as bad as people made him say they were. And it kind of is followed up with and even though people laud it, X3, when he comes out from the crowd and says they never say they're gonna put you in camps. They just do it. And it's like I know people have done recently put that out there. It's like that is
Yeah.
the continuation of that quote. So yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. The scene that you just mentioned, Magneto in the crowd in X3 is always one of my favorites. That is something that I go back to. I watch that scene a lot just in clips. Another scene I like is in Days of Futures Past between the two Charles Xaviers when he says just because someone stumbles and loses their path doesn't mean they're lost forever. And that quote just hit me and I'm just like, oh, that's great. On top of that, we have the openings to the X-Men films with Charles talking. Like when he starts off with the mutation, it's the key to our evolution, and going on from there, I'm like, this, yes, please.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I like it. So yeah, let us know what you thought were your most impactful scenes of the MCU. You even answered David's post credits question. What's your favorite non MCU most impactful scene for non MCU films? So we will see you maybe hopefully next week with a Doomsday trailer breakdown ahead of us. Fingers crossed, everyone. Let's close out the year with a preview for what we will get in the upcoming year. So. All right, all. We will see you next week and talk to you all later. Bye bye.
See ya.